This is the official DadBodDnd module review of Tomb of Annihilation. But I want to talk as a whole about the module. We're going to talk about the good, we're going to talk about the bad, and then we're going to talk about the ugly. I mean, there's a lot of good in Tomb of Annihilation. There's a lot of bad, and then there is a lot of ugly. So we'll start at the very top. So the very top is you guys are brought into Port 9/0. There's a lot of things that could be done. We had a few episodes here, probably 10 to 15 sessions here. Maybe not that many, because we did leave and come back. But so it's chapter 1 in the book. So chapter 1 in the book, and there will be spoilers, so if you don't want to hear spoilers of the module, feel free to tune out or whatever you want. I mean, I hope you kind of listen to what we did, so you get the sense that we're doing this. But so chapter 1 is probably the biggest chapter for the most roleplay. This is the biggest sandbox setting with, outside of being in Chult, the roleplay sandbox setting in the game. There's a lot to do. I feel like some of the stuff that we didn't touch on that I kind of hoped in the back of my head we would have was the merchant princess. So there's a lot of political intrigue that could have happened. You guys kind of got the taste of it. You got ran out of Port 9/0.
I do have some questions about that, but.
And then there's a lot of dino racing. So I know reading other people's reviews and other people playing the module, they really enjoyed the dino racing. Cool, we bet on stuff. I mean, I didn't think it was that important. There was a lot of small missions that we didn't do. So a lot of side missions. You guys, accomplished a few. You went to Fort Belranian. You went to fight Shago right off the bat. I think that wasn't the first guy. You fought Shago in Fort Belranian. But so there's a lot of good things in Port 9/0. I think for the most part, this is the opportunity that if a party is heavy roleplay, this is for you.
Kenny Alpha. No, never mind.
Yeah.
No, Kenny Alpha was...
It was one of the merchants.
Yeah.
We fucked that shit up.
This is the biggest roleplay setting you're going to see in the Tomb of Annihilation. So before we advance past here, go ahead.
So for our group, that was before we started really streaming and taking this seriously. And knowing that this was a meat grinder, I think we were afraid, or we weren't prepared for that role play. So to have that opportunity at the beginning, is kind of a detriment, I think. So I don't know. I wish I could go back and play Port 9/0.
Yeah, I felt really bad that we got cut out of the port. But I mean, on the one hand, it was good for the actual module,
right?
Because we probably would have never left Port 9/0. And the fact that we got basically ran out of town and told not to come back or we were going to get killed, it pushed us into the actual module. We would have probably just stayed in Port 9/0 and done the political intrigue shit. Because I think we were all invested in whose side are we on in this.
Yeah.
But
there was also we put our hand out, got it bit, and we were like, well, fuck it, I'm not touching anything then. We lost Flinier.
We lost Guy episode 1. The first night, we lost one of our characters. And I can remember when we were setting this up, it was okay, this is a meat grinder. Everybody needs to be playing at their top level, be smart. First game out, first hour in, Flinier pickpockets somebody in the bazaar and gets caught. And the penalty for that is that you go run the gauntlet, and he got mauled to death by some Black Panthers.
Yeah.
And were they leopards?
It was Panthers.
Panthers. Yeah. And so it was okay. So there went our sense of adventure.
Yeah. So I think it took kind of the wind out of any sail that we would have had of role playing in there. Not that it was a misstep by the DM or anything. It's just. That's what the module is, right?
Well,
I think kind of picked it up when we left Port 9/0.
So as we talk through the rest of the module, it kind of explains how we made that 180 shift. But I think this is a perfect case for session zeros, and we didn't do that here. So we had a lot not going for us in when we started this. So the party you see now was not the original party when we started Tomb of Annihilation. We had three others that aren't here anymore, and they're not, just part of DadBodDnd crew. And it was a very different playstyle. So it was set up as, this is the Tomb of Annihilation. It is a meat grinder. You die. And so we're like, okay, we'll have fun. We'll do it. And it is that. So I agree with you that it did take the wind out of the sails. If I were to do the Tomb of Annihilation again, I would run Port 9's completely different. And I would set up a session 0 and explain, this is your roleplay session. If you want to roleplay, do it here. So I thought Port 9 is very good. I think it's a very good opportunity for people to understand, Cholt, to understand, to get a little bit of the lifestyle, and to get human interaction or NPC interaction, because once you leave here, dude, there's nothing. I mean, there's a town or two, but very small, very, very bad.
And just like the visual of the Cholton life and Port 9 is awesome. I want to hang out in Port 9. I want to know more about it.
Cholton specials, man.
Right.
I want a campaign set. I want a campaign set in Port 9.
Yeah.
So, so that's the good. And I think Port 9 is very good. There's other small pockets in Cholt that is good. And
like we talked about Curse of Ball earlier. Like that's another place that has so much flavor and fun attached to it. Like a total oasis amongst the wasteland. Right? And I think we enjoyed that a lot. And there was one session I missed while we were in Curse of Ball, and I kind of regret it. I wish I was there, Kind of a cool place. What'd you guys think of Curse of Ball?
The climb up was intense, and it was fun after that, too. There was a lot of roleplay opportunities still there, and I liked the characters and the race that was there, so I thought it was really cool.
I loved Curse of Ball. We had not had a place of respite and rest, and to be not human beings, but just characters living. I love Curse of Ball. I would have stayed there for a long time.
Yeah, I think it was great. So again, these are the good portions of the Tomb of Annihilation module. The bad. So leaving chapter 1. So chapter 1 again is Port 9 all of the roleplay that can happen there. Chapter 2 is when you enter the jungle. So this is one of the very first things that we threw out of the Tomb of Annihilation was the travel system. So it is a hex grid. It takes 1 day per hex. You do 3 checks a day, and if you mess any of those checks up, you don't move a hex. You get killed by a number of monsters, or any number of things can happen. So we as a party talked, and this is, and again, right when we left Port 9 is where we're like, okay, let's have a sit down. Let's rethink how we're going to run the Tomb of Annihilation. I'm actually going to move the travel to the ugly because it's atrocious, and throw it out. Hands down, don't do it. Unless you really like grindy hex games. It took us 2 sessions to travel this much on the map that's fucking this big. We threw it out, and we changed it to, okay, I'm going to make you do a couple checks for the travel. We'll roleplay the travel a little bit more. We'll designate positions. So your position is what your check goes to. So we had a survival position, who's hunting, and that was typically Vinny. We had a scout who's making sure we're not getting ambushed. We also had the leader who's leading the pack. And, all of these different checks, if these checks failed, I had a different table that I would pull from that would give a different outcome. And so that's what we did. The original module by the book was crap. And we hated it. So that's, I mean, go ahead and give your guys' thoughts on that.
Atrocious. Travel was such a slog. We spent 2 or 3 sessions in game making a 2-day trip.
Like getting to Fort Belrain.
Yeah.
Took forever.
Yes. it was the worst. I if that had continued being a thing, I would have been like, we're done with this module. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And once we did switch though to where everybody had a role, it made it a little more interesting and a lot quicker. And I get the whole point in the module. That is when you do your leveling, is from all of this travel. That's how you get your levels, so you're prepared for when you get to the tomb. But you can streamline that. You can give people extra XP they're not supposed to get.
Right.
Anything is better than multiple sessions that are nothing but random encounters on a trail in the jungle.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think everything we cut out or changed was totally beneficial. Like, I don't regret any change that we made.
I agree.
I didn't notice much of the travel, so I came in pretty much about the time we changed it, so I didn't experience the old system. And I knew nothing of travel before then.
But yeah,
Terrible.
So yeah, and not knowing how travel's normally done in D&D too probably is like, so like Chris and Bob and I, we know what travel's normally like in D&D. It goes like this, and this was not that. This was that slowed down and expanded and almost just brought the game to a crawl.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah, I really liked
bad.
how we did it. It felt like a really good way to learn to travel.
Well, and the silly thing is that once you guys reached a certain level, I didn't even make you do checks, because there's a point where the entire monster table for the jungle is like CR level 2s, and so it's like, oh cool, you guys fight some more monkeys, cool, some more snakes, like, okay, I get it.
Well,
let's move on.
And we've kind of determined in our group that's not the game we want to play. We don't want to slog through combat. More often than not, we're going to play a session where it's nothing but role play.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're more geared towards. You know, if we get a combat, that's fine, but we don't want to just do combat just for the sake of combat.
I agree.
Yep.
So that's exploring the jungle, and now there's several pockets that we hit. Again, we talked on some of these that were great. So Camp Vengeance was a great roleplay moment for us, and you know, I think it has a very good chance to make the highlight reel. But so that was a very good place for us. Camp Righteous, not really for our group. You know, it's a mini tomb that is an annoyance, and it has traps. Why, you know, I get it. Cool. All of these things are trapped. Then there's places that you get clues to finding the forgotten city. When you're looking at the Tomb of Annihilation, you're looking at about a year campaign. So we're over a year in this campaign with this group and not some of this group. But the clues take forever. And if you guys don't ask the right questions, the clues just don't show up. So it's almost the DM needs to kind of force feed some of these clues, and that's what I did in some of these cases of where to go. And there's a lot of places that we skipped in just Cholt as a whole, because it would take years to complete all of this. So why don't you guys just quickly go over your favorite places? And we'll start with Travis.
Favorite places. Curseball was really cool. I'm trying to think of other places that I got to visit. Nyanzar had a lot going on. I thought that was really interesting. Having come in towards basically the last time we visited there, I didn't get a whole great deal out of it. Actually, I did really like Omu, of all places. I thought having the temples kind of scattered throughout was kind of cool, and I liked the rundown aspect of the city. I thought it gave me some cool mental images, to say the least.
I was gonna, Willow, you only really came in at Omu and right before, right?
Yeah, that's all I was there for
What was your favorite place?
Omu in the tomb.
What about my old camp that you were hiding out at?
That place I didn't like.
Yeah, they're all dead. They're dead.
They're all dead. It has bad memories.
Well, what about you, Vinny? What was your favorite?
So I highly enjoyed Camp Vengeance. I enjoyed the role play, but mostly I was proud of us for getting out of there without going murder hobo. Like, and so we're not the smartest group when it comes to getting out of situations. It's kind of like, well, we're going to find our way out, you know? And so for us as a party to realize we're in over our heads, there is no way out of this for us. We have to play along with them for a while. That was huge for us. Like, that was huge for us as a party. And so I enjoyed that. And then, of course, we murder hoboed the guards once we got out of the situation. But that was big because I think our party's original thought would have been, we're going to fight this and we're going to kill a couple guards and then we'll get out of here, you know? And it was a lose bad situation all the way around. We've already talked about Curse of All, having this area of rest in the middle of all of this was awesome. And I liked that it was so infrequent. It made me appreciate a calm city where you can go in and have a down episode shopping or eating food and dancing and doing stuff like that. So I like that isn't all over the place in Jolt. There's 1 or 2 places where you can do that, and that was cool. I also enjoyed the Spire. I'm forgetting the name of it.
Firefinger. Yeah, the Firefinger Spire.
That was fun.
I enjoyed the Perilous Climb. I thought we lost the Zaka right then and there. I liked that there were prisoners in there, and so we got a little bit of an NPC action out of that we weren't expecting. So those would be my picks.
And what about you, Binks?
I wish we could have spent more time in Port Nyanzaro. I think there's a lot of flavor there.
Yes.
I wish I could play there now, knowing what I know and kind of the gains that I've made as a role player. I'd like to go back there. I enjoyed Curse of Ball, like we've said. But Travis said this too, is like, I really enjoyed Omu. It has that post-apocalyptic kind of feel where you're traveling through the ruins and you got people like Bag of Nails, you know? This Tabaxi assassin that's in there just picking us off. That was a great moment.
Oh, I loved him. I loved that.
Yeah, that was so much fun. Just that he's got that ability to have that one-shot kill. It was a ton of fun, and I think I would have liked to have maybe a little bit more time in Omu, just kind of like figuring other shit out, like little pockets of flavor like that. So I would enjoy Omu a lot too.
I disagree with you strongly there. I hated every minute in Omu.
Really?
Well, first of all, and we haven't really talked about this place is full of fucking puzzles. And they're not like, so...
Right.
If I were designing a game, I would make puzzles that were kind of similar or had similar mechanics so that the party will learn and grow as they go through the module. Every puzzle is completely fucking bonkers compared to all the other puzzles. And so you can spend a whole session problem solving. We did that when we were in the Fort Righteous or Camp Righteous. We spent an entire episode solving the puzzle of that place. And frustrating. I enjoy puzzles, but I don't like the fact that puzzles bring the game to a screeching halt if you don't pass checks and if you don't have the right party makeup. Yeah. And again, like I told you, I was reading through the book. A lot of the puzzles that were in the tomb, they were like, if you have a sorcerer, they can do this, and you just broke the puzzle. Yeah, and it's like, whoa, wonderful, thankful. That's it's real helpful. Thank you. We can't do any of that. So we were playing this game with a disadvantage when it came to the puzzle solving.
Yeah. So that's not what I liked about Omu. It was those moments with Bag of Nails, or that moment where we're hiding out in this broken down building and this army of kobolds are traveling by, and then we encountered the feathered T-Rex. I can't remember what it was called.
King of Feathers.
The one that. Yeah, the King of Feathers, that fucking T-Rex that casts spells. Like those moments are great, and those are more of what I want to see, and less of the puzzles. Like, that's not our party.
The problem I have with the puzzles is there was a very distinct answer for them, and they didn't lend well to problem solving or like creative answers to them. So it wasn't problem solving, it was just, here's the answer, you have to find it. And that you can't role play that. That's just
I agree.
a puzzle, and that's not any fun.
Yeah. So as we finish exploring Chult, ultimately you get led into the Forbidden City or Forgotten City, Omu, which we've talked about. So in Omu, there's really 9 shrines, and to speed that up, I made artists have 4 of them because I don't want to sit here and spend another 10 sessions trying to get these 4 keys or puzzle cubes, whatever they were. And so ultimately we get there, right? We get there, and then you almost go down this path. Once you find all of the puzzle keys, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the heart of where all of the Yuan-Ti are, and that's where we get captured by Razni, which is the chapter 4 at this point. Chapter 4 is Fate of the Serpent God or something. And it's really optional. You don't need to go here. So if we were to find the actual entrance to the tomb, we could have skipped chapter 4 as a whole. I think it led for some good roleplay because we didn't fight there. You guys said the right things to get you out of there. If you were to explore it a little bit more, there's some cool things there, but for me it was meh. It was a meh part of it, and I'm not really looking to go through that. So then you go to chapter 5. So chapter 5 is the tomb of the 9 gods, which the 9 gods are the trickster gods, and some of you found some that inhabited you, some didn't, right? So this is where there's good and bad for me. So there's a lot of bad in the fact that it's a dungeon crawl, and it's the hardest dungeon crawl you're going to run across in a long time. If you guys were to go to every room, you would have died several times over and over again, and that to me isn't fun, because now, how do we introduce characters in the middle of a dungeon crawl?
Yeah.
Like, the book is very specific on, well, they're clones, or they're another party, or, okay, how many times can you do that? Because to get into the temple is extremely freaking hard, and we shut the doors. So the doors shut after you guys were there, so it's like, okay, I get it, cool. Levels 1 through 5 are puzzle heavy, very, very puzzle heavy, and as Willow said, you don't have a lot of room for maneuver. It's puzzle has an answer, you figure out the answer, or you're dead. And so, it gives you, the goal of here is to find 5 keys, which was actually up to the DM to put wherever you wanted. So there were suggestions. I put them in some fun spots. I put them in spots that I wanted you to go to. There were some really cool things down there. So I think the blind artists, if the blind artists were more interacted with, I think that was a fun moment. So there's a zombie T-Rex that could pop up there. That could have been fun. You guys fought one of those already.
The Beholder.
The Beholder, yeah. So there's a whole nother quest here to find like 12 things to unlock the Beholder, and it's like, man, dude, that's like 10 sessions. I don't want to do that. That's awful. Because by the time you get here, you have such bad Tomb of Annihilation fatigue that you're like, dude, this just drains on you. And it is so hard to sit there and be like, I'm excited to play the Tomb of Annihilation in the tomb. And I think every single person here, we had the conversation of, how do we fast track this a little bit? So I think to Blues Bros question earlier in the chat, what did we skip? We skipped a lot of Chult content. We didn't skip a ton in the tomb. You guys were pretty efficient there, so I didn't actively make you skip it.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, no,
felt like we were bumbling fools in there.
Yeah.
I didn't actively make you skip it. There were we skipped 5 of the actual like tombs of the gods, because only 4 got found, and they had some additions at the end. But I will say we did skip a fight at the very end of the game because we were there, and I think
the sisters.
Yeah, the Stone sisters were going to be there, and in my head I'm like, okay, if you guys rest here, you're going to fight them. If you long rest here, you will fight the Stone Sisters. If you decide to go straight to the Astropole or to the Soulmonger, I'll skip it. Because, the little clay no face and I can't remember the monkey's name, but they told you that they're gone right now, so you need to leave, right? So I think that kind of led into that.
Well, and I think at that point we were like,
Let's
we're
get
on
the
the
fuck out of here.
doorstep. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Well, so
It would have been cool to fight some hags, but at the same time, it's like let's fucking do
you could do that anywhere, man.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
this.
So
That's some RPG bullshit where the boss has like 8 forms and it's just a grind.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's levels 1 through 5. You're searching for keys. Level 6, you finally get to the point where you see where the keys go, and this was super annoying. This was super irritating. So where the keys go, all of them had slots closed. So you had to do these little tests to open the slot to put the key in, and it's like, dude, I'm not doing that. So I picked the 3 best ones that sounded good because 2 were already open. And I'm like, let's do that. So the buffet, that was fun because it was fun. I mean, they had a negative consequence if you fought the Stone Sisters, but if you didn't fight the Stone Sisters, it's all pluses. And you guys luckily didn't fight the Stone Sisters.
Man, I should have eaten some.
Yeah, but other than that, the rooms were stupid and they weren't hard to figure out. And I'm like, man, we're just gonna skip that because I'm done with puzzles. I'm done with you guys getting frustrated with the puzzles. It doesn't lead to a good composition or a good game. And then you fight a Serac, you fight the Soulmonger. So I think level 6 of the Tomb was good. It leads to a lot of roleplay, and one of my favorite things was to roleplay those stupid little dolls in the Tomb.
Yes.
That was an awesome session, yeah.
So that was good. I think the fight at the end is bad because you're dead. You're going to die. And the way the module has it breaks down, if you get a Serac to under 100 hit points, he plane shifts out and he bamps out and he's gone. So you don't even get to kill him.
Nah.
And it's like, oh, that's kind of dumb.
Alright, I would rather die.
Yeah.
Die trying.
God, we were only 10 points away from him bamfing.
Yeah.
Going back to those
that's heartbreaking.
dolls. Going back to the dolls before the final room, it just shows you how much we were longing for some sort of connection. Finally something that is nice and welcoming, and we just totally immediately latched onto those little dolls.
Well, and it's not just the nice. There is so few opportunities to interact with NPCs other than your party. Once you get in the Tomb, we went weeks without it, and so when we finally met these dolls, it was like, this is fucking great. This is so much fun. I'm having so much fun talking to these dolls and this creepy ass room with the copies of us in them, and I think that was ultimately the reason why we got Tomb fatigue.
Yeah.
Once you get out of Crucible, you have no opportunity to role play too much with people. Like I said, I flipped through some of the book. Bag of Nails, if we stopped talking, I think you might have even told us this after the game. If you stop talking, or if you don't kill him when he gives up, he takes you back to his house and you can role play a little bit, but then he tries to poison you. And so if you are a party that enjoys the back and forth with a DM and with a party and the role playing, good luck to you. I mean, 2/3 of this campaign is just you and your party sitting in the jungle.
Yeah.
Woe is me. That's hard.
Yeah.
I think that the Tomb though does, kind of speaking to what you're saying, is it does kind of lend itself to grow as an actual D&D player, not as a character, because you get out of that, you kind of get it out of your system, that murder hobo,
Yeah.
you kind of get it out of your system, so it's a good opportunity to actually grow as a player instead of just your character growing.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think it's funny too. I don't know. I don't like it. I'll say it. I think it's bad design. the entire point of Dungeons and Dragons is exploring the dungeon, and we were so freaked out
Yeah.
about our characters who we've come to love and that we've held on to for a year. We're so scared of them dying that we don't want to go in the rooms.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they're like, again, I flipped through the book. There's some cool shit that I would have loved to have seen. I'm not risking it. I'm not risking it. I'm not going to add 6 months to our gameplay to see it. Like, you know, it's like the world's largest ball of twine 50 miles off the road trip. Like, nah, I'm good. We're just going to keep going to Disney World. I don't like it. I think it's bad design. I think it discourages a party from exploring the end of the game, the thing that you've built up as like the badass, fucking cool place. Like, it's like, oh, this place is mythical. It's the Tomb of Annihilation. You're going to go, and it's going to be just metal as fuck. And then we're all like, no, we're all just gonna huddle together. We're gonna have the buddy system. We're all gonna hold hands, and we're just going to close our eyes and make it through here.
Yeah.
And that's bad game design,
I agree.
in my opinion.
So what I would say is, like, if you're going to run this, like, be confident in yourself and change things. Do what works best for your party, because I think Cholt as a whole has so much flavor and a lot of stuff to explore, and a ton of things that are interesting. Like, we've talked about Port Nine Zaro, we've talked about Omu itself.
The dinosaurs. There's fucking dinosaurs.
Like, there's a lot of stuff to just kind of grab onto and adventure with. So change it, man. Make it fun for you. Because I would play in Cholt again.
Yes.
I would do another campaign in Cholt, no doubt about it. Not Tomb of Annihilation, where it's puzzle heavy and just the meat grinder and like, let's get rid of that stuff. Let's role play in Cholt, because I think there's a lot of what seems like history there that could be.
I will say this: if you were a fan of 3.5, if you were one of those old school Dungeons and Dragons players, I think you really enjoy the Tomb.
I don't know what that is.
Maybe.
Well, 3.5 is very like rules heavy, and it's less exploration and more problem solving and dungeon diving and like, this felt like, if you've ever read some of the old modules, this reads like an old module.
Very much with the travel too, and the water, and the, you know, that's where some of the challenges would have come from.
Stat tracking, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you.
Yeah, I would like to, because we've never tracked ammo. Like, I would be interested to see a party. I don't know that I want to watch it, but I would be interested to see a party that's like, we're going to track our ammo, we're going to track our spells, our components, and what you do when you're in the middle of nowhere and you can't get any of that shit.
Yeah,
I have no idea how you make it through it.
I think you could also go the other way with Tomb of Annihilation. Like, don't get attached to your characters, and you can play every character you've ever dreamed of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I think as a whole, for me, I do not like this module. I as a DM, it has so much exhaustion that you're just so fatigued with it. And yeah, it's one of those things like, hey, guys, we did the Tomb of Annihilation. So
we did.
But to piggyback off of Kylie's point about it makes you a better player, man, for a party that role plays, you really have to rely on your teammates to make those role play moments. You have to go out of your way to make them happen. I know we had a couple points where we brought up conversations that I don't think we would have brought up in any other game. The conversation about what you do with grief and loss and how you get past it. And when we delved into our characters, kind of their sob stories kind of thing, we would have never done that in any other game because there would have been other role-play opportunities. In Curseball, where it's the only peaceful place, that moment of Vinny and Azaka dancing and enjoying being just people, I would not have done that in any other game because I wouldn't have needed to. There would have been plenty of lighthearted moments to build that. And I was so starved for a fun moment that I went out of my way to make it happen. Like, cool, is there a party going on? I need to know, where do these people go and get down? Because I need some of that right now to lighten the mood for this game. And so, yeah, it does make you a better role-playing group, and it does make you a better gameplay group, like Kylie said. So that's the only plus I get from it.
Totally agree. So are you, and I guess this is a question for everybody, are you happy to have completed this one as, for me, this is the first module I've completed. This is the first campaign from beginning to end. Are you happy that you have done this early in? For me, I guess I'll pose this question to me, and then you guys take it however you want. Am I happy that this is a first campaign for me, or would I want something not meat grinder? I think for everything that Devin just said, is it kind of forced you to become a better player, a better role player, a better strategist. I'm glad I'm through it.
Strategery.
I'm glad I'm through. And I don't regret playing it.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I really enjoyed it as my first campaign ever. Much to your guys' points, it was great to have everything that came with the tomb. Those role-play moments that you kind of had to make happen. There was a lot of combat to learn from. There were a lot of puzzles to learn how the puzzle mechanics work. I feel like this was a good puzzle or a good module to have learned how so many different mechanics work in relatively short order. So as a newbie, I really enjoyed that part of it. I didn't love it otherwise. I thought it was too grindy. There were a lot of conversation about, well, what are we going to cut out? So I agree with Bob that it wasn't that great as a campaign, but as a newbie, I learned a lot because of the way it was. I
feel for a party that is just beginning to gel, which is what we were. It's because we started this off stream. We had, as a party at the time, we had run one homebrew campaign, and it had gone pretty well, but we were not a well-oiled machine, I would say. So as a party who is still trying to find their feet as a group that role plays together and learns how to play off of each other and pick up on those subtle nuances of, this is what I can grab from this situation, from what this person is doing. I appreciate that we did the tomb because we bonded in this bad experience together. And I don't mean like our characters. I mean us as players. Like, I think we were all sharing the pain of this bad time from at times, you know, and we made the best of it. And that made us a better group. Those discussions of what do we dislike about this and how can we make it better, that made us a better group. And as a Twitch channel and a podcast and all that, it made for a better show, you know, because we made the best of what we had, and we made it more palatable, I think, for people who want to listen to a Tomb of Annihilation campaign. So for that aspect, I'm glad that as a young group we played it. I would never play it again. If somebody was like, yo, I got a Tomb of Annihilation game going, cool, I'm good, thanks, man. Call me back when you get to Strahd.
I can vouch that 2 times is too many.
You poor soul! Oh my gosh, we haven't talked about that. This is our second playthrough of the Tomb. You are a glutton for punishment. I would not have done it.
You guys were worth doing it for.
Why, thank you.
For the question, though, that Chris asked, I think that this is an excellent module to start on for new players, but an experienced DM. I think a lot of new players come in wanting to be kind of that combat heavy, I'm going to be a fighter or a barbarian, I don't want to role play, I want to play puzzles. And then it allows you to kind of explore role playing, but not need to rely on it, where a lot of other modules you rely a lot more on role play.
That's a good point.
But you do need an experienced DM who's willing to make the cuts of, okay, this travel or encumbrance or that is not worth it. So
And I look at this module as what it has done for us as a group that Devin kind of touched on, and what it has done for DadBodDnd moving forward. I mean, we got over a ton of hurdles that I'm glad we did it for a campaign like Tomb of Annihilation and not what I think Waterdeep is going to be. I want to be able to have these hurdles done and kind of the big missteps in the past as we do Waterdeep and we move forward with, where DadBodDnd is going. And I'm glad we cut our teeth here, and I'm ready to move on to the next one, which I guess is a segue to you, DM Bob.
Yeah, I would agree. So, I mean, I do want to say as a whole, I would not recommend this module to anybody. It's a pain in the ass. But I agree with what Kylie said. I agree with what Devin said. If you want to grow together, cool. But so that's going to wrap it for our module review. We had our ups, we had our downs. It had good parts, it had bad parts. But I wouldn't share this experience with anybody else. So I'm glad to do it with you guys. I think it was great. And what's coming next? In B Flakes in the chat did hit it. We're going to be doing Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Shit. Not next week. Next week, we won't be playing a game. We will be doing our session zeros. So if you want to come and learn about our characters prior to the actual game, that's the time to come. Come get a feel for who we're going to be.
Next week is our session zeros?
Yep.
Oh.
So, to those of you who haven't wrote your character's backstory, please do so by next week.
It is on the calendar.
Yeah, so next week will be session zeros. The week after that, we will be playing D&D with Goblin, all Goblin cast. So that'll be fun. And Devin will be running the DM for the week after.
Oh, that's in 2 weeks. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you haven't prepped for that... But then...
I don't have any pressure on that one.
But then the 15th, March 15th is when we will be starting Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and I will be reprising my role as DM, and we will have a new cast.
Everything.
Characters. I mean, the people playing the cast will be there, but new characters, new setup, and I am so excited. I'm excited to see, Travis, how your character, a second character that you now have some D&D experience. Kylie, I'm excited to see how you start a character that, one, you're invested in, and two, you play from start to finish. Devin and Chris, continue what you're doing. I think you guys are great. I'm excited, awesome. But I am so excited for this to happen. I think this group of people is going to be so great to do it with. I've read through the module, most of it. It's going to be fun, and whereas many of you guys see us do this grindy dungeon delve, it's going to be very roleplay heavy. And so the highlights that we all talked about should be this entire campaign. I'm excited. So with that, we'll go ahead and end it here. Thank you all for experiencing this journey with us. We couldn't have done without you guys, but it was good to do it with you guys. Well, I mean, we're going to finish, call a spade a spade. We're going to finish the Tomb of Annihilation, but it's good that you guys want to watch us do it. It makes my day so much better knowing that we get to share this experience together.
It's brought some awesome people to the Discord channel, Marshman or Timmy Nip, aka Timmy Nips. It's brought, Ink and Ignorance, et cetera, et cetera. All these people kind of come and hang out with us, and we're building some friendships there.
Well, don't forget your sad toast. Your
sad toast. Right. I said et cetera, et cetera. I can't remember everybody.
But, I mean, we'll wrap it up with a quick advertisement. If you haven't yet, Discord link is below if you're watching the Twitch stream. If you're listening to podcast or YouTube, I think that, Chris, you put the Discord in the description of the YouTube. If you're listening on a podcast, come over to twitch.tv/DadBodDnd, and the Discord link is on my profile. Yep. We are sponsored by Skull Splitter, so if you want to buy some Skull Splitter dice, you can use the promo code DadBod to get 10% off your first order. we do have a link there in our Discord as well. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram. Couldn't remember the name. Totally forgot. And just come hang out. We love hanging out with you guys. We love getting to know your experiences, what brings you to D&D, and how what we can take from you guys to get better. So with that, thanks for spending your Friday night with us, and we'll see you next Friday for session 0.
And thank you, Bob, for DMing that for us. That was great.
Yeah, thank
You did a great
you.
job.
Bob.
Thank your DMs, people.
It's the unsung heroes. We're
Yes.
just here to make your days happier. I'm just kidding. All right.
That was good.
All right.
See you
Bye.
guys.
Good night.
See ya.